Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, but how we're going to fix both of those things together. Mostly, we chart a course towards freedom on this channel, and we backhand tyranny wherever we find it, whether it be Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. In this case, it's the media, because they got one coming on this one. The amount of gaslighting and manipulation that you are about to see in light of the mass shooting that we saw last night in New Mexico. Yeah, guys, I've got everything you're going to need to see. I got the actual footage of the event. I've got the media coverage. I've got the actual law enforcement officer blowing the entire thing apart. Guys, the manipulation on this is next level. So make sure you help dispel it by sending this one out. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We have a lot to get into, and with that, let's dive in. Everything is always linked in the description box below. I always bring the receipts. All right. So let's jump over to my X account and let's dive into what we have here. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me at BradenLOA. There is the actual tag right there. Boom. Good talk. Let's dive in. So here's my part of my disclaimer that I do in every one of these videos. I don't want violence. I do not support violence. I don't want this to happen. I don't want criminals to criminal. I don't want innocents to be affected by criminal behavior. Now that we've covered all of that, let's dive into the propaganda that you're experiencing currently over the latest mass shooting, because their support for gun control is down. So they got to ramp up the manipulation and propaganda, because we've got some new terms we got to walk through. 3 killed, 15 injured in mass shooting at unsanctioned car show in New Mexico Park. Unsanctioned car show? Yeah, that's what we called 6 months ago, way back in 2024. We called that a street takeover. Yeah, unsanctioned car show. Okay, let's dive into it a little further. I'm going to let the officer who's involved here brief you on it. And there's going to be a few things we're going to stop, and then I'll show you the actual footage, because you need to see the actual footage to give you actual understanding of what occurred here. And shocker among shocks, it's not going to be what they're trying to frame. Watch this. Oh, audio.
On a mass. This news conference is to give an update on a mass casualty incident, mass shooting that occurred last night on 3/21/2025 at Young Park, which is located at 1905 Nevada Avenue. There was an unsanctioned car show at the park prior to the shooting. The call for the gunshot victims came in at approximately 10:10 p.m. again on 3/21/2025.
Okay, so we're going to hold the law enforcement officer really quickly, and we're going to jump over to a paragon of intellectual thought on the left, Brian Krasenstein. All right, this guy, there is not a leftist talking point that he will not parrot. Very passive-aggressive, very just baseline. Okay, breaking. Showed you the incident. Don't get me wrong, I'm against vandalizing Teslas, but isn't this something that deserves more attention than a handful of keyed cars? That doesn't really make sense. Okay, guns, right here. You see this? Guns. That's implying that it's the guns that made this unsanctioned car show incredibly unsafe, and they started doing things. Don't worry, assault weapons work their way in, because they have to. It's a rule in the media. But now, let's get in here, because we're going to continue to obliterate this point. Let me show you the actual video from the event, and you tell me if we're getting into the unsanctioned car show, or is this a street takeover? Okay, so does that look like a car show that's just missed the permitting? Or does that look like a street takeover that's going on in a park? Okay, again, the real action starts here in a second. I'm going to back this up for when we return to it. Let's get back over to the law enforcement officer, and let's walk through this before we get to the New York Times.
The investigation so far reveals that there was an altercation between two groups of people, and that altercation escalated to gunfire between both groups. Several other people were also injured in the crossfire.
Okay, so does this start to sound familiar? Like the Chiefs Super Bowl parade right after they won the Super Bowl, and there was the mass shooting that the media tried to frame as the problem within America completely is that it has guns and we have a Second Amendment right, and it basically weaponizes the idea that you have your rights against yourself, so the media can build a bias in your own communities against you. Therefore, you'll give up your guns because it's your fault, right? Well, odd that two different groups were fighting with each other at 10 p.m. on Friday night, and shots started to fire between the two groups themselves, exactly like the Super Bowl shooting. and an innocent was killed. In this case, 3 fatalities with 15 injured. I don't want any of this to happen. But to sit here and blame this on the idea that we have a Second Amendment right in this country and we need to manipulate and build this into a propaganda machine to further get the idea that we need to take away rights from people is kind of asinine. Particularly with an unsanctioned car show, which we're going to get back to in 1 second when the real action happens. Let's continue, though, because there's something I want you to see that this guy says.
Officers arrived on the scene and began treating people immediately while trying to deal with the chaos of that situation. Bystanders, some of them had already started administering treatment. Oscar's fire arrived very quickly, and they began immediately rendering aid despite the fact that the scene was not secure yet. But as of right now, there are 15 people that are injured and 3 that have passed away. This is a huge crime scene with a lot of moving parts. It will take time to process it thoroughly and reopen everything. I do want to correct a few things that are circulating, especially on social media. The person holding an AR-15 in the photo that's being distributed has already been interviewed. At this time, we do not believe he was involved in the shooting, although it's obviously a problem that he's out there with an AR-15 in his hand.
Okay, skirt. Let's dive into that step by step. So you're telling me at the site of an altercation with 2 different groups of people shooting at each other, there was a magical AR-15 that somehow magically didn't start the whole problem? Because the media will sit there and tell you that the AR-15s are the issue no matter where they are. If they're there, there's a problem. But there's a guy there with on actual video with an AR-15 who did not or was not involved in this at all. 2 different groups of people, he's completely unrelated, and the AR-15 is too. So the media jumped on it. There's an assault weapon there. No assault weapon was fired. There are no cartridge casing. He's about to walk into that. So the whole myth of this entire thing they're building around the unsanctioned car show and just guns were there and they magically started doing bad things. No, it's criminals. Again, I don't want any of this to happen. I don't want violence. I don't want people who did not deserve it to be injured. However, or become fatalities. This is all bad. However, to blame this as something that it is not is disingenuous and it's gross. Hence, the slapping tyranny wherever we find it. The media is getting it this time. Now, the other thing that he said right there, it's a problem that he has an AR-15, which is obviously unacceptable. No, that's crap. That's just your New Mexico gun control mind virus. Anyway, let's keep going.
But this time, we do not believe he was involved in the shooting. He has been contacted already. Casings have been located throughout the park and parking lot. Again, it's a huge scene. All of the casings located so far are handgun caliber casings. There are no rifle casings consistent with an AK or AR style rifle. In fact, there's no rifle casings that have been located all so far. They're all handgun casings.
Okay, they're all handgun cases. They're all over the place, and there's not a single rifle cartridge, a rifle casing there at all. So the media has nothing on this. They can't twist this and spin this. All they've got is unsanctioned car shows, and there was a mass shooting. There was 2 criminal groups who were fighting. Okay, you know what? Enough of me saying anything. Let me show you the video itself. This is the part where you need to see how it transpires. Watch this, and you tell me if this is an unsanctioned car show.
Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, shit. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, shit. What the fuck? Run, run, run! Come on.
Okay, you get the idea. Hey, I have a question. Why is this video not linked in this news article that says, quote, unsanctioned car show? Seems like a pretty natural thing to do, right? I found it. It's on X. Hey, why is it not in the New York Times article? Guys, what you are watching and observing is them try to make this into something that it is not by obfuscating important facts for you to discern that any normal person would look at that and go, unsanctioned car show? That looks like a street takeover happening in a park, and 2 groups that probably had illicit arms, all handguns, started shooting at each other, very close range, and they hit innocent bystanders. Oh, by the way, there was an assault weapon. The police interviewed that individual and said he didn't fire and there were no rifle cartridge casings anywhere in the vicinity. Guys, the reason that we hit these things so hard, we hit the invisible mass shootings that the media just doesn't cover. Literally, this is why we cover these things, because it exposes the insane manipulation and hypocrisy in order to take your rights from you and the next generation through lies and obfuscation. I find that unacceptable. And that's why I think you guys are subscribed. If you're not, make sure you subscribe. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I always bring receipts, and I will show you on the next one. I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.